Malachi Starks experienced homelessness not once, but twice.
As a kid, I was homeless twice.
Josh Jacobs spent nights sleeping in a car. Vonte Diggs had to shower in public restrooms. And Naji Harris, he celebrated his NFL draft night in the very same homeless shelter he once called home.
So, I'm born and raised from the Bay Area, Northern California. There's a homeless shelter there that I used to stay in.
These are the players who went from having nothing to making it in the NFL. Josh Jacobs.
So it was right after my parents' divorce, so I was probably in like 4th grade.
When Josh Jacobs was 8 years old, his parents separated, leading to a contentious divorce. Initially living with his mother, Josh frequently clashed with her, accusing her of mismanaging child support funds, which led to the family eating Salvation Army meals. Eventually, his mother kicked him out, and he went to live with his father, who eventually gained custody of all 5 children after a prolonged legal battle. Unable to afford stable housing, they lived out of a maroon Chevy Suburban for approximately 2 weeks.
Mostly we were living out of the car, and literally we'll pack everything in the car.
The family's survival tactics were both heartbreaking and ingenious.
Anywhere, we used to always try to go to somewhere where it had the free breakfast in the morning.
Yeah. The Continental.
Josh's innocent perspective on their dire circumstances reveals the remarkable way children adapt.
So I normalized a lot of things growing up. Like, I never thought, like, damn, I'm sleeping in a car.
The sacrifice of his father became a defining memory. Food was often scarce, and Josh recalled seeing his father skip meals to ensure the children had enough to eat, a sacrifice that deeply affected him. For about 2 years, they lived out of backpacks, moving from one temporary accommodation to another. Even after the family moved into a house in a rough Tulsa neighborhood by the time Josh reached high school, he continued sleeping on the floor or couch, as he was unaccustomed to a bed. This habit persisted when he arrived at the University of Alabama, where he slept on his dorm room floor for months because a bed felt uncomfortable.
And when I got to college, it was like the first time I had a bed, so I used to sleep on the floor.
Despite being overlooked by major college programs, despite averaging 15 yards a carry and running for 2,700 yards and 31 touchdowns, Josh didn't have a single scholarship offer from any FBS school before December of his senior year. His persistence eventually paid off.
I'd say football really saved my life, honestly. It changed my life because it gave me an outlet.
The moment that changed everything came when a recruiting coordinator from Dallas suggested Josh join Twitter and post his season highlights and stats totals.
So I watched him on film and I said, this guy is really pretty good. He's got quickness, he's got change of direction, he's got some power for his size. I said, we need the guy. Let's take him.
Alabama's Nick Saban had finally noticed him. Josh's journey culminated in being drafted by the Oakland Raiders in 2019 and signing a contract with a $6.7 million signing bonus. In one of the most emotional moments of his professional career, Josh surprised his father with a house in Oklahoma in January 2020, a gesture that symbolized gratitude for Marty's sacrifices. Just like Jacobs, the next NFL star kept it real. So real, he celebrated draft night at the very homeless shelter he once called home. Naji Harris.
So, I'm born and raised from the Bay Area, Northern California. There's a homeless shelter there that I used to stay in.
In Northern California's Bay Area, a young Naji Harris was learning lessons that no child should have to master. Born in Martinez, California, Harris and his family, including his mother Tiana Hicks and 4 older siblings, experienced frequent evictions and moved between various locations such as San Francisco, Richmond, Pinole, Hercules, Sacramento, Oakland, Pittsburgh, and Antioch. The family's financial struggles were compounded by his father Kurt's drug addiction and inability to hold a steady job, which led to ongoing instability. For much of his childhood, Harris and his family lived in homeless shelters, including the Greater Richmond Interfaith Program in Richmond, where they shared a small room when Harris was around 12 years old. The extent of their homelessness was comprehensive and devastating. They also spent time living in a van at Golden Gate Park and occasionally stayed with friends or family members. At times, they slept in various vehicles, including a Dodge Durango and a Sierra equipped with a TV and roll-out bed. These experiences were marked by poverty, with Harris recalling moments like Christmases spent in shelters alongside other families and instances of food scarcity, such as encountering ants crawling over food in one of the places they stayed. The psychological toll of constant displacement cannot be understated.
I remember I used to have football practice and I used to get dropped off at the corner just so like people don't know where I'm staying at. And I used to walk the rest, you know, when I was a little kid.
Socially, Harris was initially ashamed of his homeless background and tried to keep it hidden. The constant moves and lack of a stable home environment made daily survival a priority, with Harris describing his childhood as focused on just surviving the day and getting through tough times. Yet within this chaos, something remarkable was emerging. Despite these adversities, Harris found an outlet in football, which became a savior and a way to escape the realities of his life. His athletic talent became undeniable as he progressed through high school. His talent emerged at Antioch High School, where he became the top collegiate recruit in the country, rushing for over 2,200 yards in most seasons. This success led to a scholarship at the University of Alabama, where he broke the school's rushing record and won 2 national championships. Meanwhile, his mother's resilience, faith, and eventual attainment of a medical degree also played a crucial role in helping the family gradually stabilize, though they continued to face challenges. When draft night arrived, Naji made a decision that would define his character for years to come.
You know, it is a special event, and I thank them. I thank them for inviting me, because it is a special thing. But you know, yeah, man, I decided to decline it and do it a different way.
Instead of attending the NFL draft in person, he hosted his 2021 NFL draft party at Grip, providing food and desserts for residents.
So, you know, I wanted to tell them that, you know, there's always light at the end of the tunnel.
This philosophy drives everything Naji does today. Harris's childhood difficulties shaped his commitment to giving back. He founded the Dow Bigger Picture Foundation to support families facing homelessness, hunger, and other challenges. His commitment to change extended beyond symbolism. Later, he partnered with Lowe's to renovate the shelter, replacing worn carpets with hardwood tiles and adding appliances, a playground, and a mural painted by his mother. Harris has expressed a desire to show others in similar situations that there is light at the end of the tunnel, using his platform to advocate for homeless children and inspire hope. The next player wasn't just homeless, he was one of 14 siblings with no roof over their heads, but he found something solid to hold on to in football. Ray Davis.
I remind myself every day, you know, I was once that kid again. I was in that shelter.
Ray Davis faced significant challenges during his childhood, marked by homelessness, foster care, and family instability. Davis was born to Jessica Blazer and Raymond Davis, both of whom were frequently incarcerated during his childhood, leaving him without consistent parental support. The statistics alone paint a grim picture. One of 14 siblings, Davis grew up in a fragmented family environment in the Hayes Valley neighborhood of San Francisco. His mother was only 14 when she became pregnant and 15 when she gave birth, and Davis has noted she wasn't ready, indicating her inability to provide stable care. These stark facts represent a childhood that forced rapid maturation. At age 8, Davis became a ward of the state and entered California's foster care system, where he remained for 8 years. The living conditions Davis endured would challenge even the most resilient adults. By age 12, Davis spent a significant period, including a 2-month stint, living in a homeless shelter in San Francisco, located under General Hospital. He vividly recalls the shelter's layout, including a glass window with workers, a lobby with a VCR and TV, a food pantry, a game room with a PlayStation 2, and rooms with beds and clothing for kids. This period was particularly traumatic as he felt unwanted, noting nobody wanted a 12-year-old. Everyone preferred younger kids they could raise as their own. But Ray's story becomes even more remarkable when we consider the responsibility he shouldered at such a young age. As a young child, Davis took on significant responsibilities for 2 of his younger siblings, a 6-year-old sister and a baby brother. At age 9, he was responsible for dropping his sister off at school and caring for his brother, including changing diapers and meeting his basic needs. This role forced him to mature quickly, as he later said, "I had to become a man at 12. When a foster family offered to take in 2 of his siblings but lacked space for all 3, Davis made the heart-wrenching decision to stay behind in the shelter so his younger sister and brother could stay together. He told the caseworker if they can get out and be together, that's the best thing for them, prioritizing their well-being over his own.
Football was my escape. Like I said, it was my escape from the reality of what I was going through. It was 2 hours of practice every day that I got to get away from being homeless, being a foster care child, sleeping on floors.
But it was the discovery of football that began to change everything.
It was the one time where I felt like this, and everybody held me at the top of the world. But as soon as I walked away from that practice, I was back to this, and nobody would know.
The turning point in Ray's life came through an unexpected connection.
Laura Banks is who I call my mom. She took me in at the age of 16, and that's who I had my long drive with back from Santa Barbara back to California. And she asked me about almost I want to say close to 1,000 questions, and she learned who I was. And
After a 5-hour car ride from a tournament in Santa Barbara, where she asked him 1,000 questions, Banks took him in at age 16 and became his temporary guardian. At age 16, Davis faced a critical moment when he sought permission from a San Francisco court to move to Trinity Pauling School in New York, where he could pursue football and education. Despite opposition from an attorney who argued he had a support system in California, Davis pleaded his case before Judge Catherine Lyons. He argued he had never had support in California and saw the move as his chance for a college education. His emotional testimony swayed the court, and his father was granted custody, allowing the move. Now, as an NFL player, Ray carries his past with purpose.
I think my purpose in life is really to just understand that I'm not just here to be a football player. You know, I'm here to be a man who can provide a spark in other people's lives for them to achieve anything that they want, no matter the circumstances or whatever's put against them.
Davis's experiences shaped his determination to succeed and inspire others. He rejected bitterness, instead expressing gratitude for his journey, stating, "After what I've been through, what's gonna get in my way now?" Ray's story continues to inspire, and now a running back for the Buffalo Bills, selected in the 4th round of the 2024 NFL Draft, he uses his platform to mentor youth through programs like Big Brothers Big Sisters, earning the NFL Community MVP Award. Just like Harris, the next athlete's past reads like a Hollywood script. Javon Kinlaw.
Well, my mother from Trinidad and Tobago with my 2 older brothers, just growing up in Northeast Washington, D.C., pretty much homeless, living in basement.
Born in Trinidad and Tobago, Kinlaw moved with his mother, Lisa James Exum, and 2 older brothers to Washington, D.C. in 1995 seeking a better life. However, financial struggles led to unstable living conditions. The living conditions Javon described sound like something from a dystopian novel.
Well, we went without electricity, no water, things like that.
But the resourcefulness required for basic survival demonstrates human adaptability at its most raw.
We had to use the neighbor's hose to fill up totes of water. We would take them back in the house. We had gas stove. You would light the stove with a little match or something. Get a tall pot, boil the water, mix it with some cold water, put it in a bucket, take it upstairs, take a shower like that.
The psychological adaptation to these circumstances reveals both the resilience and vulnerability of childhood.
But at a young age, we just thought that was normal, you know? That's how we was living. We didn't know how everybody else was living, but we knew that's how we was living. And we was cool with that, you know what I'm saying, especially me.
But the environment surrounding their struggle was far from innocent. Kinlaw recalled vivid memories of crime-ridden neighborhoods, witnessing gunshots, dead bodies, needles, and addicts, experiences that caused nightmares and trauma he preferred not to discuss. His diet was limited, often consisting of bologna, hot dogs, oatmeal, or buttered bread, and he wore the same clothes daily, leading to bullying at school over his size, attire, and shoes. At around 13, hope seemed to emerge when Kinlaw's mother sent him to live with his father George in South Carolina, hoping for a more stable environment. However, this move brought new challenges rather than relief. His father struggled with alcoholism, creating a volatile home life, and at times, Kinlaw lived in motels or sought shelter with friends or in unoccupied buildings. He described feeling unwelcome at his father's residence, often navigating where to stay as a teenager. His father's girlfriend reportedly did not want Kinlaw around, and there were instances of physical altercations. During his senior year at Goose Creek High School, he lived with a teammate's family. Kinlaw also faced behavioral challenges, inheriting a quick temper from his father. He admitted to troublemaking at school, with frequent frustrations and a lack of self-control when angered. However, supportive figures like Monica and Calvin Davis, parents of a friend, helped him channel his anger. Monica, a pastor, attended parent-teacher meetings and treated Kinlaw like a son, aiding him in de-escalating conflicts. Despite these adversities, Kinlaw's size, 6'5" and 260 pounds by age 15, drew attention to his athletic potential. Initially playing football to stay off the streets, he earned a scholarship to South Carolina after a year at Jones County Junior College, where he went for food and shelter.
Fun fact, my first 2 days there, I didn't even eat because I didn't know where the calf was at. And then I didn't know the food was free. So when I found out, it was free, I was going crazy.
This humorous anecdote reveals both his naivety and the extent of his prior deprivation. Kinlaw's childhood hardships fueled his drive to succeed, motivated by a desire to provide a better life for his daughter, Eden Amara, and to build homeless shelters with his NFL earnings.
Well, I'm very religious, you know, just talked to my mom a lot, and she really was, well, my mom and my family, they really was the reason, you know. I've had a lot of dark days, and, you know, just to be able to touch that grass is a big blessing, man, you know. And I've been through a lot, bro.
When Javon reflects on his journey today, the emotion is still raw and real.
I've been through a lot, bro. So Yeah, I've been through a lot, bro. That's all I can really say, but I never gave up, you know? A lot of people would have gave up, but I never gave up.
For the next star, showers weren't at home, they were in public restrooms, but he never let that stop the grind.
Vonte Diggs.
You know, you're washing up in a McDonald's bathroom and things like that. So it was just tough that I couldn't do the things I wanted to. You got to wear the same clothes. You know, you barely got enough toothpaste for the last year, two brushes.
Vonte Diggs faced significant challenges during his childhood, marked by periods of homelessness and instability that profoundly shaped his early life. Born in Las Vegas on November 7, 1995, Diggs moved with his mother, Robin Jones, and older brother, Jermel Jones, to Chicago's South Side at age 5. What was supposed to be a temporary vacation became a permanent struggle when his mother decided to stay and seek employment. However, her struggle to maintain steady jobs led to frequent relocations and financial hardship. The harsh reality of their situation became apparent early in Vonte's elementary school years. Diggs experienced homelessness as early as 4th grade, living out of his mother's late 1990s Oldsmobile with his mother and brother for approximately 6 to 7 months. The family crammed their possessions into the car, with Diggs often sleeping in the back seat. They used a nearby McDonald's restroom to wash up each morning before school and at night before bed, relying on hand soap and, at times, stolen toothpaste for hygiene.
And it was tough seeing that my mom and my brother would be in the car crying and really upset. It was just one of those things, you know, as a young kid, like, it breaks your heart.
The situation deteriorated further during high school when his mother moved back to Chicago for work, leaving him in Downers Grove, Illinois, a West Chicago suburb. Unwilling to return to the city due to fears of violence, Diggs stayed with friends, but often found himself without a stable home. During his freshman year, he frequently slept on a bench in Lloyd Park, which he described as his safe haven for its consistency amidst his chaotic life. He would walk to the park at night, sit on the bench, and think about his circumstances, how he got there, and how to escape before falling asleep. Diggs' childhood was marked by emotional turmoil and a sense of not belonging. He described his early years as a time of a broken home, a broken life, a broken family, reflecting the pain of his unstable circumstances. His turbulent environment fostered a combative nature. Diggs admitted to being a hothead who fought frequently, often for no reason, as a way to cope with his anger and frustration.
You blame yourself a lot, you blame your mom a lot, and it's always bickering and fighting between the family, but you know, we try to stay as close as possible. We still are.
A pivotal moment came during his sophomore year of high school when the Z family, parents John and Nancy, and their sons Tony and Andrew, took Diggs in. Initially, the arrangement was temporary, intended to provide a few nights of shelter and meals. However, after learning Diggs was sleeping on a park bench, the Z's offered him a permanent home. They provided a sofa in their basement and, more importantly, the stability, discipline, and love Diggs had lacked. John Zia emphasized that Diggs needed to change his behavior, particularly his defiance and tendency to fight, to stay with them. This structure helped Diggs channel his energy into academics and football.
Ever since that day, they've helped me do everything.
The Z's support was transformative. Diggs described their contributions as anything you can imagine: a roof, food, attention, and love. They treated him as family, and he later got a tattoo honoring them to symbolize their impact. With this support, Diggs improved his grades, graduating with nearly a 3.0 GPA, and earned a scholarship to the University of Connecticut, where he played linebacker and graduated early with a degree in urban community studies.
I basically want to be a high school counselor because I've lived in poverty, so I can connect with the kids in poverty.
Vonte's journey didn't end with college success. He would go on to pursue an NFL career, using his experiences to inspire others facing similar struggles. Diggs expressed a desire to become a high school counselor to help kids facing similar struggles, reflecting his commitment to giving back. And finally, the last name on our list is fresh off the most recent draft, and already opening up about a childhood full of struggle, survival, and quiet strength. Malachi Starks.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, as a kid, I was homeless twice, and there was a period of time where I didn't really see my parents because they were working. Day shifts, night shifts, whatever the case may be.
Malachi Starks, born William Malachi Starks on November 13, 2003, in Commerce, Georgia, experienced significant challenges during his childhood, including periods of homelessness.
But I've never seen him not work for anything.
This observation would become the cornerstone of Malachi's character development. Between his 3rd and 6th grade years, Starks and his family faced homelessness in and around their hometown of Jefferson, Georgia. During this time, he endured extended periods without seeing his parents, who were working tirelessly to improve their situation.
And that kind of I saw it and it turned me to who I am today. Like when things don't go my way, when I don't know what to do, like I put my head down and work.
The work ethic that Malachi witnessed during those difficult years became his guiding principle. Despite these hardships, Starks has spoken about his parents' relentless work ethic, noting that they just worked regardless of their circumstances, eventually securing opportunities that allowed the family to escape homelessness. His father now manages a chicken plant while his mother stays at home.
It's a blessing. I come from a very, faithful background.
Faith became the anchor that kept Malachi grounded throughout his journey.
Something that me and my parents and my fiance had talked about a lot this week, but throughout the process as well, God has already written my story for me.
These early difficulties shaped Starks' perspective and fueled his commitment to giving back, influenced by his mother's advice in middle school that his talents were a gift from God to be used for good. Starks channeled his experiences into his athletic and academic pursuits, excelling as a two-sport athlete in football and track at Jefferson High School. His talent on the football field became undeniable as he progressed through high school and college. His resilience and maturity, often noted by those around him, helped him become a 5-star football recruit and a standout safety for the Georgia Bulldogs. When draft night arrived and the Baltimore Ravens called his name, Malachi's response was characteristic of his humble nature.
No, I'm in the perfect spot. I'm right where I need to be. I'm ready to get to work. It's always been what I do. It's a part of who I am. It's how I go about my business and just doing things the right way. Like I said earlier, just keeping your faith up front and staying true to yourself.
Later earning him a first-round selection by the Baltimore Ravens in the 2025 NFL Draft, Malachi's journey represents the power of perseverance combined with unwavering faith. Additionally, Starks' community service, including work with cancer-related charities in memory of his mother, reflects his desire to support others facing adversity, a value rooted in his challenging childhood. Like this video? Click on the card showing on your screen for more.